Talofa lava, this is Pacific Waves from RNZ Pacific. I'm Susana Swiswiki. Coming up, Samoa's early election is soon approaching. Also,
I'm a very emotional person. I'm going to cry the whole day not doing anything of thinking of those things.
A Pacific family in New Zealand is having to live without, and
They're a European system, and we know where we have to front up. We'll probably need a bit of work going into this game.
Manu Samoa will face Scotland on Friday. Samoa's caretaker Prime Minister Fiamea Naomi Mataafa has officially launched her new party's election manifesto. Fiamea told supporters that Samoa Uniting Party, or SUP, has risen from the ashes of her former Fast Party. She says SUP has been formed in response to political turmoil and internal divisions. And joining me to talk more about Samoa's election and other matters in the country is our Samoa correspondent Ngalumalemana Tipi Autangawaya. Talofa lava Tipi. First of all, registrations for voters in the upcoming Samoa election have closed. Do we know how many people have enrolled?
Well, it's 109,000 people have already been registered, and 15,000 have not been registered. So that 15,000, I believe, included some voters that have been passed. But that is the job of the Electoral Commissioner and his office to review those 15,000 unregistered voters after the general election.
Are there more registers this time round than the last election?
I think it's a little bit more than the last general election, looking at the figures. But, 84% of people from the last general election voted compared to the 109,000 already been registered. So we don't know yet how many are going to go to the polling booths to cast their votes.
What about those from overseas? Do we know how many people from overseas have registered?
To be quite honest, I believe looking at the last figures that was given from the electoral office, it's around 64 voters from overseas have been registered.
That's not a lot.
It's not a lot, but I know some Samoans living overseas traveled here to complete their registration.
And how's the campaigning going for each of the parties?
Well, the Samoa Uniting Party on Tuesday launched their manifesto for the general election. And I believe that will be the last political party to do that. And looking at the three major parties now, the Fatu Tuele Tua Samoa Watasi, or FAST Party, the Opposition Human Rights Protection Party, the HRPP, and the Samoa Uniting Party. They came up with very strong manifestos, a lot of proposals to increase some of the benefits for the locals here, like the old people's pension, the disability pension, and also for a lot of help to decrease the cost of living.
It sounds like all these major political parties are really coming out with strong policies to entice voters. But what have you heard from the ground, from the public? Is there a mood for change, or are people confident in the current government and their leadership? What are you hearing?
It's very hard now than the last general election, the mood of the voters and the general public, because looking at the opposition HRPP party, quite coming out very strong with their supporters, packing up their policies. The same thing with the Fatu Tuele Tua Samoa Watasi party. The supporters, there's quite a number of supporters also following their roadshow this week. And also the launching of the Samoa Uniting Party manifesto and their policies on Tuesday. It was packed. And the multipurpose gym at Tuanemato was packed with a lot of supporters.
I'm just going to change tack here a bit, Tipi. There's been a report that there's been a dengue-related death. What can you tell us about that case?
The update that I can tell you right now, there is a public notice from the Ministry of Education. I think because currently the schools are on 2-week holiday, and I think there will be another extension of the holiday due to the outbreak of dengue fever.
What about fumigation or cleanup camp?
I understand that is another important task from the Ministry of Health, doing the fumigation and also giving out a lot of awareness programs for the public awareness to make sure the precautions, the safety measures to protect them from the mosquitoes, because that's the carrier of the virus of dengue fever. And I've seen some latest report today of one death from dengue fever.
Nauru is a step closer to mining in international waters under highly contentious US legislation. The path is set out in the nation's new agreement with Canadian mining group, the Metals Company, or TMC. It comes as delegates from around the world gather in Jamaica at the International Seabed Authority, the world's deep-sea mining regulator the US now appears to be in conflict with. Te Wila Fuatai reports.
Nauru has special rights to a deep-sea mining area under international law, and it's had its eye on commercial mining for more than a decade. But after exploring the seabed for Nauru since 2011, TMC has become frustrated that no commercial mining has occurred. Now it's backing a US bid to gain access to the rare minerals, pulling Nauru with it, according to environmental lawyer Duncan Curry. He says the detail is in a new contract TMC has signed with Nauru.
They specifically state they will be paid set amounts once the company does engage in seabed mining under the US regime. And it's a significant amount of money. It can be initial payments of $265 million, can go up to $515 million. And then on top of that, there are what's called share warrants, which is the ability for Nauru to buy into the metals company at a favourable price.
At the International Seabed Authority meeting in Jamaica, delegates believe the behaviour of the US and TMC are causing problems. The ISA itself says it's not commenting, while the US agency in charge of deep-sea mining referred requests to TMC and Nauru, both of which did not respond.
Those trans in particular referred to what they called the elephant in the room, and then they changed it to a blue whale in the room. It basically incentivises countries to breach international law, frankly, and it could lead to other countries saying, well, this looks good, we'll do the same thing. So that's really why it's giving delegates concern. And of course, this kind of rogue mining, which it really would be, poses enormous risks to the deep seabed.
37 countries, including New Zealand, support a moratorium on deep-sea mining in international waters. The practice is dividing the Pacific. Supporters include Nauru and the Cook Islands, while Fiji and Vanuatu are against. Indigenous rights advocate Solomon Kaho'ohalahala is at the ISA for Hawaiian NGO Maui Nui Makai Network. He wants Nauru and mining supporters to consider the whole region.
I want to remind these nation states that we all belong to the same ocean, and that any of their activities that may be detrimental to that ocean is going to have an impact on all of us.
For Duncan Curry, Nauru's been backed into a corner, and no amount of money will make that right. The country, he says, stands to lose a lot.
Nauru, by entering into this agreement, has placed itself well outside international law. Quite honestly, it is the metals company wanting a quick return, and Nauru is left there really getting what they can.
In Aotearoa, families are struggling with the cost of living, with some resorting to sleeping in one room and turning off the power during the day as they try to stay warm and pay their electricity bills. That's just two examples from social services who say they're seeing an alarming level of poverty and it's putting children's health at risk. Amy Williams has the story.
There are a dozen people in the Latu household in the Auckland suburb of Mangere, but not enough beds for everyone. Onalotu Latu says 3 of her children have to sleep on couches in the living room.
Those 3 big chairs over here, there's one of our younger children sleep here. It's Falelala, Nita and Kevin. We know that sometimes it's so hard for them, but they have no choice.
She and her husband have 8 children, aged between 6 and 18, and 2 relatives staying. Her husband's been off work with a knee injury for about 3 years, and their household income, reliant on the benefit, is always stretched. Mrs. Latu sells her homemade cakes to help pay for eggs and milk for her family, but it's not enough.
Kids can go without milk, meat, and bathroom stuff, cleaning stuff.
She sometimes struggles to remain positive.
It is so hard. But like what I always say to my friends and families, I don't want to try to sit down and focus on that side, because it's going to make me, I'm a very emotional person. I'm going to cry the whole day not doing anything or thinking of those things. But I'm trying to keep move forward.
Mrs. Latu says she's grateful to Variety for sponsoring her children, meaning they each receive $50 a month as a contribution to household costs. Presbyterian Support Northern's General Manager of Social Services, Grenville Hendricks, says this winter is worse for those on the breadline. The organisation is helping 800 fewer families after its government funding was cut by $1.5 million last year.
Agencies are struggling to keep their own services running, let alone try and support people coming in.
Stats NZ figures show electricity costs have gone up almost 9% since June last year. Petrol has gone up 15.5% over the same period. Consumer NZ's annual energy retailer survey found 7% of New Zealanders have had to take out loans to pay their power bills, unchanged since last year. Zero Hunger Collective Executive Officer Trish Malcolm says she's hearing examples across the country of families struggling to pay for basics.
Families are putting the heating on in one room and sleeping in that one room so that they can save energy, or during the hours that they're low energy, if there's not many people in the whare, they'll turn all of the power off.
Variety sponsors 10,000 children, and its chief executive, Susan Glasgow, says the wait list has more than 3,000 children living in material deprivation.
New Zealand is teetering on the brink. I think if we don't take some pretty severe steps very, very soon, we're going to see more children plunged into poverty, and the long-term outcomes for New Zealand are going to be dire.
Onaloto Latu dreams of a bright future for her children and encourages them to help others.
Our hope for our children, we always teach them to go to school and study hard so you can get a job that will give to you what you need.
Charities including Variety, City Missions, Kids Can and Family Works are running winter appeals to help support families facing hardship.
Manu Samoa will be out to win their second test match against Scotland when the two teams square off on Eden Park in Auckland on Friday night. Having lost 10 previous, won once and drew once also, the Samoans go into the game expecting a tough encounter, but they're confident they have a game plan that can give them the edge. 6 debutants have been named in the team's Matchday 23, and playing on the famous Eden Park seems to have lifted the excitement in the Islanders' camp. Caleb Fotheringham reports.
Former Manu Samoa prop forward and current assistant coach Census Johnson says the challenge they have faced has been defining the style and pattern they want to play, especially with the majority of their players coming out of the European and American seasons. He says being the first game for 2025, the team will need to get it right from the start, knowing full well what Scotland will present them.
Sometimes it is because the seasons are so long. Sometimes you come back and you feel like you're able to express yourself a little bit more with the island systems, but we're not kidding ourselves with what we're up against Scotland. You know, they're a European system, and we know where we have to front up. We'll probably need a bit of work going into this game.
Johnson says the short preparation time together is also a challenge, but they are confident because of the professional environments the majority of their players have been playing in.
We're always given short periods of time to prepare, and sometimes you just got to deal with what you got to deal with. And we know there's just no excuse to trying to squeeze everything in, but it's just having that time to really just knuckle down and have the boys sit in together and talk about gameplay stuff. So it's been good so far, and majority of our boys are in professional environments.
Having players come from different playing environments also presents its own challenges, but Johnson says getting together as Samoan brothers has made things easier for the team.
I guess it is a bit of a challenge sometimes because we've got guys who are in professional environments but also at a club, so we've got a couple that are just getting a taste of that high performance level, and they've seen the difference in what they've needed to do to raise their level. It's probably the best feeling to be with the boys and being with your brothers.
Backline cover Rodney Iona says the Scots will be hurting from the loss in Fiji last weekend, and Manu Samoa will have to be on the alert throughout the game.
Obviously they got that European style type footy, so we've been doing our homework on them, and I'm sure they're doing the same thing with us. The disadvantage they have obviously is travelling. They've been in Fiji where it's hot, and obviously have to acclimatise to the weather in Fiji, and then obviously travelling here to Auckland. So I guess in a sense we've got the upper hand. We know that Scotland are a great outfit, and they're going to come out guns blazing. They're obviously hurting from that loss from Fiji. We're not going to take that lightly.
Iona, who is named on the bench, is counting on Samoans in Auckland and surrounding areas to turn up and support them at the famous Eden Park.
Playing in a stadium like this, man, obviously it's an awesome stadium. Historically, the stadium's they've played a lot of big games in the stadium, so obviously being away from home, away from Samoa, up here Park, it is a bit sad, but the community that came out to Otara last week gives us a sense of home. I'm sure that the community will rally together and come out in numbers.
Manu Samoa and Scotland will kick off their battle at 8:05 p.m. on Friday.
That's Pacific Waves for today. For all episodes, head over to rnz.co.nz/Pacific. We're also on Spotify, Apple and iHeartRadio. From myself and the RNZ Pacific team, tō whā sui fua.